Moment I'm testing that everything is working fine and it goes a bit slow. Moment I'm testing that everything is working fine. I think the audio works fine. For some reason the screen appears black. Okay. So now I'm going to finish with the medieval times. With Gothic art. And then at the end I will talk about the Arthurian mythology. So just going to start. This one is also very long. So you see here it has more than 1000 pages. So let's go. Gothic art. Gothic flourishes in the second half of the 12th century and comes till the Renaissance in Italy until the 15th century. It was born in northern France and little by little was spreading and imposing itself on Romanesque. It is called so by the Goths as a derogatory term. The Renaissance people named them with the term of Goth due to that they wanted to come back to the Roman classicism. Gothic is consequence of the new society with economic prosperity and the bourgeoisie. In the 13th century, Francisco of Assisi establishes the Franciscans and Saint Domingo establishes the Dominics. They are two mendicant orders who lived in poverty. The monastic orders were lost in nature in monasteries. There were epidemics of plague, famines, and wars. So again, the map of Europe. Now let's start. In the city, the two representative constructions were the cathedral and the city hall. New consideration of artists, we have more names. About cathedrals, they are taller and brighter, built with stone and in Italy with marble. The pillar is the main sustaining element. Cruciform pillars, attached columns, no column free except in Italy, use of crystals and rosettes, use of pointed arches, use also conopial and campanaire arches. Use of goblets, use of crossbows, expartite and starry, basilical plan of Latin cross of 3 or 5 naves with ambulatory. We can divide generally into 4 periods. First period, transition, Romanesque construction with Gothic elements, use of counterfort and strong attached columns. Second period, 13th century with cylindrical pillars, vegetal decoration in capitals, use of crossbow with fine nerves, use of windows and buttresses. Third period, 14th century, subdivision of little columns, nerves multiplied in balls. Fourth period, 15th century, more decoration, more kinds of archer, curvilinear forms. This is the rosette. And this is the different kind of arches. See, when you see that is like a triangle on this, with this shape, like instead of being a semicircle, it's like more pointed. That's Gothic. This the balls, with this kind of starry balls, and especially in the English Gothic with the fan balls. It will appear later when I show more pictures. These different parts of the naves, cruciform pillar. This is made to support the wall. I'm going to explain this. Just so you can understand this better. Okay, this. Because these walls have the very big windows, so it needs something to support the weight of the wall, and then it is why these pillars are created. So these are united to the main wall with this, and so it can support the weight. You see here, for example, this is a very good example. The wall is almost everything a window, so it needs something to support the weight of the wall. So that's why this exists. You will see now these cathedrals. This is the plant. Now it starts. So The division in this topic is by countries, architecture and sculpture, and later the painting, because the painting is more important here, so it has its own chapter. So France, first Gothic. Second half of the 12th century, use of crossbow. The abbots who here defends the use of precious metals in Eucharisty and cathedrals. Theory of light of Pseudo Dionisio Areopagita. And then classic Gothic, first half of the 13th century, disappearance of tribune with little triforium and bigger windows, disappearance of six-parted vault and use of crossbow, use of buttresses. Rayon and Gothic, second half of the 13th century, caused so by the great rosettes and very big windows. Architecture is used as skeleton for crystals. In the 14th century, there were wars, so about art they used finished all cathedrals and added more chapels or other accessory constructions. Flamboyant Gothic, in the 15th century, much more decoration until mid-16th century. With peace, new constructions rise. First Gothic, Saint Denis, the first built the things. So lazy to edit this. Okay, the first built things are the facade and narthex. The naves will be pre-Romanesque. The naves will be pre-Romanesque style until the Rayon and Gothic. Rosette in the facade, large windows, 3 covers. Sense, use of six-parted vault, it has arches, triforium, and clerestory without tribune. Use of columns to sustain. Here, Saint Denis. Laon, use of large columns, this one has arches, tribune, triforium, and clerestory. The central nave is more illuminated with a great rosette, use of gables. Noyon, rich in forms and no preoccupation in economy or material, and economy of materials. Here, Laon. This one is very impressive. Notre Dame de Paris, 5 naves with transept enrolled in the plan, double ambulatory, use of six-parted vaults in central nave except in the center of the transept. Use of arches, tribune, and clerestory without triforium, use of buttresses as drains. Here, Notre Dame de Paris. Classic Gothic. Chartres, use of goblets in facade with sculptures about the Virgin, more movement, great rosette, and windows. Reims, here the French kings had important acts. It goes from 3 naves to 5 at the transept. Use of crossbows, very tall goblets. In the sculptures you see the smiling angel and also the coronation of the Virgin. Here Chartres, Reims, and Amiens. Especially Reims and Amiens are very impressive. Amiens, the greatest of all, 3 gates with deep flares, great rosette in the central way, final judgment is represented in sculptures, the golden virgin is in the mullion that interacts with the child, and also smiles. Rayon and Gothic, here my favorite, the Sainte-Chapelle, to have the relics that Louis IX broke, the crown of thorns and the spear of Longinus. It is like a reliquary of stone and crystal. The plan has 2 levels. The inferior one is the called crypt with 3 naves, and at the level of ground is the other, with only 1 nave. There is an ambulatory. The inferior plan is very rich in decoration with crossbows at low height. The superior plan is full of crystals. Palais des Papes of Avignon, it has nice frescoes. So this is the Sainte-Chapelle, my favorite building in French Gothic. Very amazing. Flamboyant Gothic, Saint-Ouen, famous by its architecture and its great and ancient organ. Rouen, the west facade, has 2 towers, masterpieces, great spire of iron added in the 19th century. Saint-Wolfram of Abbeville, Madeleine de Troyes, Jacques Square Palace. Here are some other Saint-Ouen, Rouen, Saint-Wolfram of Abbeville. Oh, 1 moment. I just forgot. Maybe I should check this picture. The name. Okay. Here. Sculpture. 13th century. Stand out the sculptures in Notre Dame de Paris. Reims and Amiens. 14th century, sculptures found in funerary chapels, altarpiece, tombs, ivory figures. 15th century, in the middle of this century, arise an opposite tendency to this pathetic art. Klaus Luther. He works in the end of the 14th century. He is a Dutchman working in France. He adds railings and great expressive force with broken falls. Tomb of Philip the Bold. Well of Moses. He did this with help of his nephew Klaus the Nerd. And by the way, this Tomb of Philip the Bold. Maybe I do like this. At the beginning, it was a calvary for the cloister of Champmol with 6 figures of prophets in the base of the font: Moses, David, Jeremiah, Zachariah, Daniel, and Isaiah, and the crucifixion as fragment. The sculptures are liberated of the frontboard. They are almost portraits. So this is the Tomb of Philip the Bold, and this is the Well of Moses. Okay, now this is England, so I'm going to show pictures before. So here rosettes, different arts. Okay. Saint Denis, Sens, Laon, Noyon, Notre Dame de Paris. You see here this to support the weight of the wall that is full of windows. Chartres, Reims, Reims still, this is the Virgin, coronation of the Virgin. Angel with a smile. Amiens. Sainte-Chapelle. Saint-Ouen. Saint-Ouen, Abbeville, Troyes. And here's culture. Well of Moses. And let's start with England. Periods. First Gothic, 13th century, it follows the Romanesque Norman style. Ornamental Gothic, second half of 13th century till first half of 14th century, also called Curved Gothic. In this style, the nerves multiply. Perpendicular Gothic, end of 14th century and 15th century. Use of vertical ejector rods in the walls. Use of conical balls and font balls. The English Gothic is the most amazing. I love it. First Gothic. Now the cathedrals that didn't appear, that were mentioned in Romanesque art but didn't appear as pictures because they were rebuilt in Gothic. Lincoln, 2 transepts, use of crazy balls, asymmetric and tercellated balls, symmetric with marinaires, horizontality in facade with 2 towers and small doors. Salisbury, plan of double cross, 3 naves with crossbows and other rooms. Here Lincoln, Salisbury. Canterbury, here the bishop Thomas Becket was murdered and will become a saint. William of Sens makes the choir and the naves, and as he is French, they have French influence with sexpartite balls. He has an accident and returns to France. William the Englishman continues and he introduces English elements. It has a crown in the ambulatory. Here are the relics of Thomas Becket and also the tomb of Henry IV of Castile. Henry. So here Canterbury. Saint Wulfram Grantham. It is a parish church. Wells is one of my favorites. It begins in the first Gothic and continues in the next periods. Crossbows in the naves, the transept and ambulatory is ornamental Gothic, use of scissor arts, more complex balls, great windows, use of starry bold. It has a chapter hall and orthogonal plant, and you go there from stairs. Nerves unite in the central pillar, sensation of palm. It is very impressive. Wells, here the inside, and here this chapel is just wonderful. Ornamental Gothic. Exeter, it begins in English Romanesque and finishes in Perpendicular Gothic. What belongs to ornamental period is the coil on the head, and also covered of a more advanced pace. The balls begin to seem the fan balls. Gloucester, amazing inclines near fan balls near the next period in transition. This cathedral was used in Harry Potter films and Hogwarts. You will recognize it, and Gloucester is one of my favorites. Exeter, it's just amazing. And this is Gloucester, you see. Wonderful. Perpendicular Gothic. Manchester, this impressive construction has many medieval carpentry things of great quality, like the choir and the ceiling, great polychromed windows. St. Mary of Warwick, in this church is nice the Beauchamp Chapel, where are the tombs of the heirs of Warwick. King's College of Cambridge, great verticality, great windows, great fan balls, only one nave with lateral chapels without transept nor ambulatory, facade with great window and buttresses. The fan balls are awesome. Manchester, King's College of Cambridge, just curiosity because I visited Manchester, but we couldn't enter the cathedral because it was closed, because there was a private event, let's say a party. It was very curious for me because it's like, so this is what happens in the cathedrals when they are closed. They make parties. Interesting. So yes. King's College and this Bath Abbey, 3 naves with little transept and no ambulatory. Fan balls, great windows and vertical buttresses. That is the Bath Abbey. St. George's Chapel in Windsor Castle. This chapel has been scenery of weddings and funerals. And then Rochester. This St. George's Chapel in Windsor. So with this, this ball is just fantastic. Abbey of Westminster, traditional place for coronation and burials of English monarchs. Many sepulchres of royal family and illustrious personalities. It began in Romanesque style but was reconstructed into Gothic between 13th and 16th centuries. The 2 western towers were built in the 17th and the 18th century. Here are the sepulchres of Henry III and Leonor of Castile. Westminster Abbey. Sculpture. English Gothic sculpture is scarce in quantity and quality. In the cathedrals, it's not usual to put statues in covers, used in places in buttresses and walls. Nice to mention the sculptures of wells and the sepulchres. Not much. Okay, now I saw the pictures, more pictures here. Lincoln, the interior. Salisbury, Canterbury, and Bull from Grantham, Wells, wonderful Wells. It's just amazing. Exeter, Gloucester was wonderful, just magic. Manchester, Warwick, Cambridge, King's College of Cambridge. The fan balls here is just magical. You see here fan balls. Bath Abbey also with fan balls. St. George in Windsor, this is a painting. Rochester, Westminster, nothing else. Okay, Germany. Periods transition, 13th century, 14th century, and Hallenkirchen. Transition. Germany received Gothic by the sister order, but late. The style comes from France and will live with the Germanic Romanesque form. Bamberg, this cathedral has Romanesque elements. It already appeared in Romanesque. It has 2 apses, one in front of the others. Tall towers among sculptures stand out the rider of Bamberg, equestrian sculpture of an unknown crowned character. Very realist. The altar is by Belle Stoss, sculptor of the School of Nuremberg. This Bamberg and the altar of Belle Stoss. Magdeburg, Romanesque influence. It has buttresses. It has the sepulchre of Otto I, King of Holy Roman Empire. It also has the sculpture of the 5 wise virgins and the 5 full virgins, very expressive and realist. Slavic features. And this is another different one. Naumburg, the main nave, was built in the first half of the 13th century in Romanesque style. There are here the statues of the founders of Naumburg, Ekkehard of Meissen and his wife Uta. Here Magdeburg, and here the the wise virgins and the full virgins. Vienna, Austria, initiated by Rudolf IV of Austria, it has ampliations in different styles. 2 bell towers and important gates, 3 naves and many altars with also many objects. This is the inside of the Cathedral of Vienna. 13th century, the first pointed arches began here. In the first half is still transition, but in second half is pure Gothic. Freiburg, it is in Breisgau. The great tower of the facade was finished in Middle Ages. Lots of sculpture of end of the 13th century in interior and exterior. The Golden Gate mixes Romanesque element. Treveris, the oldest church of Germany, the actual cathedral has the rest of an old church from the 4th century. Basilica of 3 naves, 2 choirs, transept and 7 towers. Here Freiburg and Treveris. 14th century. This is the century of great splendor. Use of starry balls, tall towers with arrows and great verticality. In the 15th century there is flamboyant influence. Cologne, my favorite of the German cathedrals, Gothic German cathedrals. The most important monument of Germanic Gothic. It wasn't finished till the 19th century. It has great verticality. It has the biggest swaying bell of the world and an organ. It has many treasures, like the reliquary of the 3 kings, the Gero crucifix, and the triptych of Stefan Locher. The plant is similar to the one of Amiens, but the Cologne one has 5 naves, very tall. The exterior is full of buttresses and pinnacles, with arrows of clear French influence, many goblets, and a lot of light. It's just wonderful, this cathedral. This is the interior. Strasbourg, influences of Chartres, tall towers, verticality, amazing decoration of the facade, very meticulous work. Ulm, it is the tallest cathedral of the world with this amount of meters. Frauenkirchen in Nuremberg, amazing example of Baltic Gothic or Brick Gothic built by Emperor Charles IV in mid-14th century. This church has many sculptures. The Mannlingslaufen is the great mechanic cloth built to celebrate the Golden Ball. It was installed in the church and you can see the emperor. This Frauenkirchen. And this is Strasbourg. This Frauenkirchen is very impressive. Hallenkirchen, these churches have the naves at same height, generate a sensation of larger and more luminous space. Elisabethkirche, Marburg, St. Lawrence, Nuremberg, here there are many artworks. Maria Surbice, Soest, and St. Martin of Lauingen. St. Lawrence of Nuremberg, just an example. Sculpture. Gothic sculpture is characterized by great expressionism. 13th century related with the classic French sculpture. 14th and 15th centuries more expressionism. In second half of 14th century the French influence is lost, but the themes appear many schools. Nuremberg School, here work artists like Bates Toss, already mentioned many times, wood sculptor who made the altar of St. Marie in Krakow and Annunciation of St. Lawrence of Nuremberg, among others. Adam Kraft, stone sculptor who made the self-portrait of St. Lawrence of Nuremberg and the Passio Christi reliefs in the way to the cemetery of St. John in Nuremberg, very long names, among others. And Peter Vischer, bronze sculptor beginning Renaissance in the last artworks, who made the tomb of Johann Cicero, Arthur, and Theodoric, among others. Bestos, Adam Kraft, Peter Vischer. Different artworks. Bavarian School. Here works Michal Patcher, sculptor and painter. In the image I put the altar of the fathers of the church. It will appear later, I think, also in painting. I remember this appearing later. Würzburg School. This school is the only one that can compete with the Nuremberg one. Here works Tillmann Riemenschneider, one of the best German sculptors, with expressiveness, and he works wood and stone. Altar of Rothenburg about the Holy Dinner. Lamentation of Christ in Maidbronn. Then Saint Barbara, detail of the tomb of Rudolf von Scherenberg in Würzburg, and self-portrait. These different artworks, but here I just put a bit. This is how the sculpture of Tillmann Riemenschneider looks like. Okay. I saw more pictures here. So here Bamberg, altar of the Stos, Magdeburg, the Virgins, Naumburg, Vienna, Austria, sculptures, Fribourg, Reveries, Cologne. These are the relics inside the cathedral. This is how it looks the cathedral. Actually, so this is the cathedral of Cologne. This is a miniature. So it says Cologne Cathedral here. I hope you can see a bit. Actually, maybe I should turn on the light. It's still day, but now it's dark. Here, Don's Corn, the German name. Okay, I think you have seen fine. Strasbourg. Ulm. Nuremberg. This one is super impressive. Hallenkirchen. Nuremberg. Then sculpture. Bestos, Adam Kraft, Peter Biester, Michel Pacher, and this Tillmann Riemenschneider. This is a self-portrait. Okay, next one is Netherlands and Scandinavia. The regions we name as Netherlands are Belgium and Holland, and also some zones of France. There was richness, and they were rich. And due to this, they could build amazing constructions, use of stone and brick. Tournai, again it appeared in Romanesque. It mixes three architectonic styles, Romanesque nave, Gothic choir, and a mix between both in transept. Saint Gudula of Brussels, the full name in Saint Michel and Saint Gudula. French influence. This one has two towers and decoration in the interior. Our Lady of Sablon, 5 naves separated with cylindrical pillars, verticality, use of couplets and pinnacles. Nice windows. Here, Tournai, Saint Gudula of Brussels, Our Lady of Sablon, Saint Babo of Ghent. It was built over Romanesque rest. The bell tower has more than 90 meters, and in this cathedral was baptized Charles V. Saint Nicholas of Ghent, built with the same stones that the Tournai Cathedral, the tower rises in the center of the transept. Saint Jacob of Ghent, Romanesque facade and Gothic head and naves. Saint Babo of Ghent, Saint Nicholas of Ghent. Saint Salvatore of Bruges, it had many renovations and it was transformed into cathedral definitely in the 19th century. Romanesque tower and Gothic head. Our Lady of Bruges, it has one of the tallest brick bell towers of Europe of 120 meters. It can be seen in any point of the city. Saint Salvatore of Bruges, Our Lady of Bruges. Antwerp. It begins in Romanesque style, but soon they began to build in Gothic. Two plants, double walls of its clear story is very impressive. Its bell tower has 123 meters, the tallest tower of all the Netherlands. It is a collegiate, its head has an ambulatory, two great towers, the Metzelen. The nave measures 120 meters and the tower is more 100 meters. Here Antwerp, Metzelen, the big tower. Civil architecture of Netherlands. The city halls were the most important, but also there were others like markets or hospitals. The city halls are the center of civil power. City Hall of Bruges, it is like a reliquary, triangular roof, towers with spire, great windows, verticality, very well decorated, use of cross vaults. Town Hall of Leuven, it has 6 towers, 3 in each facade, 3 plants, lots of statues, it really seems like a reliquary. Here you see. City Hall of Bruges, Town Hall of Leuven. City Hall of Brussels, similar to the one of Bruges, but it has a great tower with little buttresses, many sculptures, and then the Belforts are bell towers. They are symbol of civil power, more about the guilds. Belfort of Ghent and Belfort of Bruges. City Hall of Brussels, and then the Belfort of Ghent, Belfort of Bruges. Holland, Utrecht. The old cathedral was damaged in the mid-13th century by fire, and so began the construction of the Gothic one, with French influence. The Tower of Dome was built in the 14th century and has a measure of 111 meters, the tallest tower of Holland. Hertogenbosch, Romanesque origin. It was rebuilt in Gothic in mid-14th century until it finishes in 16th century. Breda, great verticality, similar to the others. Tower of Saint Martin of Groningen. Threats, Hertogenbosch. Scandinavia. This region includes Denmark, Norway, and Sweden that has expansion by the Vikings. The entering of Christianity is later than in the rest of Europe, mixed between the primitive North art and the European styles. Denmark, with examples as Haderslev and Roskilde. Haderslev built in masonry like Hallenkirche, all the naves had the same height, and Roskilde made of brick and has the tombs of royal family members, very beautiful. I really love this one. Sweden, Vadstena combines Gothic with Renaissance elements. Uppsala, verticality, very beautiful. Malmo of brick, similar to others, and Ystad. Here, Uppsala and Malmo. Okay, this is Italy, so I'm going to show pictures. Tournai. See here in the city. Saint Gudula of Brussels. Our Lady of Sablon. Ghent. Bruges. Amberes, Antwerp, Uy, Malinas. Civil architecture, this is the city halls, Bruges, Louvain, Leuven, and Brussels. Here the sculpture is amazing. Here the Belforts. Utrecht, Hertogenbosch, Breda, Scandinavia. Roskilde. Here some of Sweden, Uppsala, Malmo, Ystad, and then Italy. The classical influences make that Italy does not accept Gothic style totally. Here the Mendicant orders, Dominican and Franciscan. I need to edit this. The Mendicant or Dominican and Franciscan appear that need buildings and they need buildings that are open to the people in the sense that not just for the clergy. Initial Gothic. The Gothic came from France by the Sister Order. Posanova Abbey, built in the end of 12th century, here died St. Thomas Aquinas. Casamari Abbey, similar to the one of Posanova. Abbey of San Galgano, only ruins remain now. Basilica of San Andrea de Vercelli, 3 naves, Latin cross, great facade due to its balance of color, Romanesque influence. Posanova Abbey, Sant'Andrea de Vercelli. 13th century. Many buildings of mendicant orders were built. Saint Dominic, Bologna, here is the Arch of Saint Dominic by Nicola Pisano and many others. Nicola Pisano and the others will appear in the sculpture section. San Francesco of Assisi, the building is at 2 heights. The cover is Gothic with rosette, mural decoration in the interior of the lower plant that goes to the crypt of the saint. The upper level has also a Gothic cover framed by a round arch. No sculptures in the exterior, paintings in the interior. Saint Dominic, Bologna, San Francesco, Assisi. San Anthony of Padua, use of bulbous domes, Byzantine influence, San Francesco in Bologna. Cathedral of Siena, this one is amazing. Use of marble, it has campanile tower that is inserted. Polygonal center of transept. Limited verticality due to that elements like marble aslars are placed horizontally. Dome with lantern, use of plant decoration and pinnacles, Byzantine influence, and in the facade participated Giovanni Pisano. San Anthony of Padua, San Francesco, Bologna, and Siena, this one amazing. See, the interior is also super amazing. Pisa Baptistry, circular plant with dome, simple interior without decoration. Here's the pulpit of Nicola Pisano. Santa Maria della Spina, rectangular plant with polychromate marble in the exterior. It is near the river. Very simple interior of only 1 nave. Here's the Virgin of the Rose by Andrea and Nino Pisano. The Pisano family are very important in art, in Italian Gothic art. They will appear later. Just remember this, Pisano. San Pietro a Maiella in Naples, Pisa Baptistry, Santa Maria della Spina. 14th century. Here were built important and great buildings. Santa Croce in Florence, 3 naves, great dimensions, wooden ceiling, influence of Paleo-Christian basilicas. Orvieto, amazing facade with paintings, use of goblets and rosette. Milan, this epic cathedral is very impressive with lots of sculptures, 5 naves, built with brick and covered with pink marble. That Milan is the most amazing, my favorite of Italian Gothic architecture. Santa Croce in Florence, Orvieto, and now the most epic, Milan. You see, this is just super wonderful. Basilica of San Petronio, unfinished, Palazzo Ducale, built with red and white marble, Byzantine influence. It is not like a fortress like other palace. Palazzo Vecchio, this is like a fortress with that tower, verticality, and Palazzo Comunale without verticality, but it seems like a fortress with a tower. And this picture is broken, so let me find it and put it again. Palazzo Ducale is one of these pictures. It's this one, but let me find the picture I used. I think it's not exactly this, but it was very similar. This one. I like this picture more. I don't know why sometimes this picture break. I think it's because they are too heavy or something. I don't know. Just happens random. Here the Palazzo Ducale, and here the Palazzo Vecchio and Palazzo Comunale. This is Renaissance, basically. Sculpture, influence of classical antiquity. Sculptures in the interior, not in the facades, generally. Generally, because in Milan they are, in the outside there are plenty of sculptures. 13th century, the center is in Tuscany, family of the Pisans. Nicola Pisano, he makes the pulpit of the Baptistry of Pisa of clear classic influence and the pulpit of the Siena Cathedral, where he tries to revive the movement. Giovanni Pisano, he is the son of Nicola. He mixes the classic style with the French Gothic style. He makes the pulpit of San Andrea of Pistoia with movement and great expressiveness, and the pulpit of the Cathedral of Pisa that is reconstructed. Pupils of the Baptistery of Pisa, Nicola and Giovanni Pisano. Among the disciples of the Pisans, we can name Arnolfo di Cambio, disciple of Nicola, who makes the tomb of Pope Bonifacius VIII, and the tomb of the Cardinal of Braille and Fra Guglielmo, also disciple of Nicola. The Ark of Saint Dominic, Bologna, is an artwork by Nicola Pisano, where his disciples Fra Guglielmo and Arnolfo di Cambio collaborated. Other personalities collaborated with time, like Niccolo da Bari and Michelangelo. Tomb of the Cardinal of Braille by Arnolfo di Cambio, Ark of Saint Dominic Bologna of Nicola Pisano and disciples. 14th century, here were met the reliefs of Orvieto. In the first half of this century worked the last important Pisan, Andrea Pisano. He did the first bronze doors of the baptistry of Florence with scenes of the life of St. John the Baptist. Other monuments are the sepulchres and the equestrian statue of Can Grande della Scala of Verona. These are the first doors. First door of baptistry of Florence, Andrea Pisano. And now Italy is finished. So let's go to some more pictures. Fossa Nova, Casamari, San Galgano, San Andrea de Vercelli, Santo Domingo Bologna, San Francisco Asís, San Antonio de Padua, Cathedral of Siena. It's a wonderful one. The paintings. Baptistery of Pisa. Here you see, this is Pisa, the Romanesque building. This is the weird Tower of Pisa, and this is the baptistery. The complex of Pisa is very important in art. This is the interior. Santa Maria della Spina, San Pietro a Maiella in Naples, Santa Croce in Florencia, Orvieto, Milan, the most epic. You see all these pillars with the sculpture. It's just amazing. San Petronio, this one is unfinished. This palace in Venice, Palazzo Vecchio, Palazzo Comunale, and then sculptures. Nicola Pisano, Giovanni Pisano, disciples. Andrea Pisano, and now Spain. 13th century, Tarragona, Lérida, Ávila, Cuenca. And also, I think this Spain is very long also, so I just go. Tarragona, Cuenca, Burgos, Latin cross plan, 3 naves, many chapels, a massive cloister, lots of sculptures, chapel of the Condestable, and the golden state was made by Diego de Siloé. The golden state was made already in Renaissance times. Toledo, 5 naves, radiating, squared and semicircular chapels. Here's the chapel of Don Álvaro de Luna. Leon, very solid building, 3 naves, the head is bigger than common, use of quadripartite vaults, use of polychromatic windows, great central rosette. Burgos, this is my favorite Spanish cathedral. Here is the Golden State by Diego de Siloé. This is the Condestable Chapel. Toledo, León. 14th century, Barcelona, 3 naves, plan of salon, chapels, little triforium. Girona, built with only 1 nave. Here is the sculpture San Carlomagno by Jaime Cascals. Palma de Mallorca, epic cathedral, use of pillars that will be pre-Solomonic. So you see Barcelona, it already appears in the Romanesque because it was built in those times, but then rebuilt in Gothic. Girona, No, it was Girona, the one. Sorry, my brain mixed. It's this one. You see, the exterior is Romanesque, but then the interior was rebuilt in Gothic. As Girona is also in Catalonia, I thought I'm confused. Palma de Mallorca, this epic castle is like very red, very cool. Santa Maria del Mar, great buttresses and open chapels, very tall and dark interior. 3 naves being the central one, the sum of the other 2. Nice rosettes. Valencia, it is interesting to see the 3 doors, one Romanesque, other Gothic, and other Baroque. Pamplona, Monastery of Poblet, this was the pantheon of the Corona Aragon from 14th to 15th century. Santa Maria del Mar, this is the interior, and this is Valencia. 15th century. Sevilla, 5 naves and almost same height in naves. Here is the tomb of Christopher Columbus. There are adds in Toledo, like the Door of the Lions or the Chapel of Don Álvaro de Luna by Hannekin of Brussels. Also in Burgos, because John of Cologne uses spires in the towers, and his son Simon of Cologne melted with the Mudéjar, like in the Chapel of the Condestable. This is Sevilla. Valencia, the tower was for military use, but when it was done, was built the pinnacle. Salamanca, the new cathedral mixes Gothic, Renaissance, and Baroque. Segovia, one of the latest Gothic cathedrals of Spain and Europe, because it was built in the 16th century when in Europe was the Renaissance. Murcia, of various styles, need to name here the Chapel of the Vélez, the facade is Baroque. So this is Salamanca, this is Segovia, and this is Murcia. I don't put here picture of the exterior because it's Baroque, so the interior is Gothic. And here is the Vélez Chapel. Here in the PDF I will show more pictures. Cartuja de Miraflores, here is the sepulchre of Juan II and the Castilla and Isabel de Portugal. Isabelline Gothic, also called Catholic King style, is a style of Castile that represents the transition between final Gothic and initial Renaissance, with Gothic structural characteristic and Castilian, Mudéjar, Flemish, and Italian decoration. Sepulchre of Juan II de Castilla and Isabel de Portugal. And now sculpture. Castilla, 13th century, French influence, sculpture of the cathedrals of León and Burgos. 14th century, decadence in Toledo is the tower of the clock and also sepulchres on the cathedral of Avila. In the second third of the century, there are 3 points. Toledo with the chapel of Don Álvaro de Luna and the doors of the lions. Burgos, the ads by Simon of Cologne in the chapel of Condestable, and Gil de Siloé with the sepulchre of Juan II and Isabel de Portugal in the Cartuja de Miraflores. And Sevilla adds in the cathedral by Lorenzo Mercadante and also the sepulchre of Cardinal Cervantes. Just historic explanation. This is the sepulchre of Cardinal Cervantes. Aragon, in the 13th century, nothing important. In the 14th century, sepulchres in Seo de Zaragoza and also the tombs of the kings of Aragon in Poblet by Jaime Cascals and also the San Carlomagno of Girona. Pere Morey and Juan de Valenciennes' work in the cathedrals of Palma de Mallorca. 15th century adds in Palma de Mallorca, Pere Juan makes the altar in Tarragona and the altar of Seo de Zaragoza. Altar piece of Tarragona. Then Navarra in the 13th and 14th century, related with French sculptors, Jacques Perrault works in Pamplona in the Puerta Preciosa. And 15th century, Lanin de Lom makes the sepulchre of Carlos el Noble and his wife in Pamplona, and this is that sepulchre. And now a little bit of Portugal that is really included in the Spain chapter. Portugal is with Alcobaça, Coimbra, there are 2 cathedrals, the wall is Romanesque with Gothic cloister and the newest mannerism and Baroque. Lisboa, Batalla, so here Alcobaça, Coimbra, Batalla. Manueline style is the Gothic that happens since first third of the 16th century over the reign of Manuel I the Lucky. Use of late Gothic elements mixes with Renaissance. Mosteiro dos Jerónimos, the most important thing here is the cloister. Convento de Cristo in Tomar, the decoration is amazing, mostly in exterior. It was a place for the Knights of Christ. So Mosteiro dos Jerónimos. Convento de Cristo Tomar. Okay, so finish it with that. Showing images here. Cathedral of Tarragona, Lérida, Ávila, Cuenca, Burgos, Toledo, Chapel of Don Álvaro de Luna, León, Barcelona, Girona, Mallorca, Santa María del Mar, Valencia, Pamplona, Poblet, Sevilla, Valencia, Salamanca, Segovia, Murcia. This one is Baroque, like the cover here is Baroque, but the inside is Gothic. This is the best chapel. Miraflores, then the sculpture. This Portugal, Covaca, Coimbra, Lisboa, Atala, this monastery, and the convent of the knights. Now the next one. Castles and bridges. It's mostly castles anyway. Castles in Romania, Hunjat for the 15th century with 9 defensive towers. The castle that Bram Stoker used for Dracula. Black Church, bird religious Gothic monument of Southeast Europe. This is the Hunjat. This is the Black Church. Poland, Malbork, built in brick Baltic style. Belarus, Mir and Nesbis. Estonia, Haapsalu, in the courtyard happened tournaments and military exercises. Herman, it is also called Castle of Narva. Hungary, Diosgyőr, surrounded by various walls with 4 towers. In the second plan were the rooms and the rooms of knights. Lithuania, Kaunas and Trakai Island Castle. Slovakia with Zvolen. Italy with Castel del Monte. It is not sure what was its functionality. There are many secrets and symbolisms about its form. Castello Maniace, it is in Syracuse and in the origin the access was through a bridge. And Castello Ursino, it is in Sicily, very well conserved. France, Chateau de Courcy, very expensive castle, symbol of power with that big tower, and Chateau of Griffons. Here another broken picture. One moment. Warwick, it began in the 11th century and was rebuilt through the centuries. Spain, Castle of Coca, built in the 15th century, it is one of the best constructions of Gothic Mudéjar. Castle of Olite, also known as Royal Palace, it has rooms, garden, pits, tall walls, and various towers. Castle of Cardona, of Romanesque and Gothic style. Castle of Belver, design of circular plant with attached towers. So Coca, Olite, Cardona, Belver. Then bridges, Charles Bridge in Prague, Mliniowska Bridge in Klosdo, Poland. Charles Bridge, Mliniowska Bridge, and Pont del Diablo in Martorell, Spain. The legend of this bridge is curious. An old lady has to cross the river every day, and the devil appeared and said her that he will build a bridge and they didn't need to pay, but he will take the soul of the first one that crosses the bridge. The next day, the old lady went to the bridge and she puts there a black cat. The cat ran through the bridge and so the people could walk through the bridge without fear, while the devil was seeing them without being able to do nothing with the soul of the cat. So this is the Pont del Diablo. Okay, now painting starts. I saw here more pictures. The Unjad, the Dracula castle, the Black Church, Malbork can reappear also in Romanesque, Nesmir, Neswit, Absalu, Herman, Yoskor, Kaunas, Isla Trakai Island, Svolen, Castel del Monte, Castello Magnace, Castello Ursino, Castle of Cozy, Castle of Pierrefonds, Warwick, Coca, Olite, Cardona, Belver, this circular one, Brits, Charles Brits, Villanova Brits, and the Pont, the Brits of the Devil. Now the painting. 13th century. This is the century of windows and miniatures in manuscripts. The painting in windows is of rich, brilliant colors, use of blue, green, red, and yellow, figures of great size. As examples, I put Chartres, Borges, Reims, and Troyes. I didn't put them. So here, Chartres, Reims, Troyes. 14th century first tables of the primitive French, portrait of John the Good, Wilton Diptych, or Diptych of Richard II. Tres Riches to Duc de Berry. By the Limbourg brothers, it is the only miniature work miniature work with great quality as painting itself. It is a book of hours, a collection of prayers to be said at the canonical hours. Here you see more close-ups. Altar for Philip the Bold by Brother Lamb. The left panel represents the Annunciation and Visitation. Right panel represents the presentation of Jesus and the flight to Egypt. Last Communion and Martyrdom of Saint Denis by Henry Belchos. Here you see. And I just say, do not repeat forever over all the paintings. Most common topics in the painting are the Annunciation of the Virgin and the Crucifixion. There are other things, but these two appear all the time. Here the altar. This is the Annunciation, and this is the flight of Egypt. You see here they are flying in the donkey, and here you see the angel saying the virgin as she's going to get pregnant. 15th century, I love this painting. For some reason, I feel attracted to this painting. 15th century, Flemish influence. Melun Diptych by Jean Fouquet. It represents to his protector, Etienne Chevalier, kneeling the Virgin of Milk. Virgin of Milk means the virgin who is giving milk to the child. The portrait of Charles VII is also of him. It's also by him. Annunciation of Eggs, of Chinese influence, Pietà of Villeneuve-les Avignon, of Cruz Realins. Pietà is Mary holding Christ after the descent from the cross, after the crucifixion. Coronation of the Virgin by Enguerrand Charenton. Virgin of Mercy by Enguerrand Charenton. Virgin of Mercy is the virgin who protects people from the disease, because remember that we are in a time of the plagues, and the plagues like the Black Plague, the epidemic that killed a lot of people in Europe. So Virgin of Mercy is who protects people from the plague. So Annunciation of Eggs, again on the same topic, and this Virgin of Mercy. Virgin protecting people. Master of Moulins. So is known Jean Hay, who did the Moulins triptychs that represents Peter II Bourbon, the Duchess Anne, and her daughter Suzanne. kneeling before a virgin surrounded with angels. He did also many portraits, and I selected one of Margaret of Austria and Charles. Many portraits, like the ones of Margaret of Austria and Charles II Bourbon. Moulins triptychs, and this Master of Moulins, some portraits. French painting finish also. See, this is the diptych of Melon. Remember, diptych is there are 2 panels, and triptych is 3 panels, and polyptych is many panels. Well, this one is super impressive in comparison with this. Just the colors and the way the body is made, the clothes. I don't know, I feel very attracted by this painting. It's very wonderful, but the kid is a bit scary. Portrait of Charles VII, Annunciation of Age, the Pietà, you see the Mary with the body of Christ after the crucifixion, Coronation of the Virgin, and the Virgin of Mercy. This again the Virgin with Christ. This is the again Coronation of Virgin. Okay, and now German painting. 13th and 14th centuries, very scarce art was here. Altar of Hamburg by Bertrand, or Altar of Niederbildungen by Konrad Soes. This is the altar. Again, you can see a crucifixion, typical topic. 15th century, Greek development, Flemish influence in mid-century, Greek Depressionist realism. Stefan Locher, he works in Cologne. He did the triptych of the Adoration of the Kings in the Cathedral of Cologne and the Madonna of the Rose Bower. Triptych of the founders of the city of Cologne. Triptych of the Adoration of the Kings. Lucas Moser, he works in the zone of Oberrhin, doing the altar of St. Madeleine for the church of Tiefenbronn, of great attention to details. Martin Schongauer also works in the zone of Oberrhin, and he paints the Virgin of Rose, the Sacred Family, and the Birth. He also did portraits like Portrait of Woman. Lucas Moser and Martin Schongauer. Michael Pacher, he works in Tyrol, already mentioned as a sculptor, but he was also painter. As a sculptor, he made the altar of St. Paul one. As painter, he made the altar of the Fathers of Church and St. Augustine and the Devil. In Franconia, Nuremberg is the main center of painting, with influence of the Bohemian school. Hans Breidenburg, influenced by the Flemish school, with works like the altar of the Church of Elizabeth of Breslau and Crucifixion. Fathers of Church, Michael Pacher, and that's all with German. Adoration of the Kings. And you notice the Virgin and the Child, just see the faces. You see this here, and then here it's the same, and here is also the same, but it's really different. Well, I think this and this, that is the same. Yes, this is the same. This and this is the same, but this and this is not the same, but the Virgin looks the same, just the child is in different position. You can see? It's very weird. Okay, more Virgin of Roses, the Birth of Christ, Portrait of a Young Girl, the Fathers of the Church, St. Augustine and the Devil, Crucifixion, and that's all. I'm going to check something. Okay, let's put this. Italian painting. 200, 13th century, use of frescoes and painting in wood. Pietro Cavallini, Roman school, he did the mosaic in the Abbey of Santa Maria in Trastevere and the Final Judgment, and also the fresco in Santa Cecilia in Trastevere. His Annunciation is also known. Byzantine influence. Cimabue from Florence, Byzantine influence more marked, two virgins, Trinity and Maestà, with long tunics and angels. The crucifix is in Santa Croce. The Virgin and Saint John, as you can see, similar to Byzantine representations. The crucifixion is in San Francesco of Assisi. So Cimabue. Duccio di Bonisegna, Sienese School, his masterpiece The Maestà of the Cathedral of Siena. Byzantine influence as the others. Other artworks are Resurrection of Lazarus, Madonna with Child, and Madonna and Child with Angels, with nice yellow color similar to gold. This one. 300, 14th century, Simone Martini. He continues the legacy of Duccio in Siena. He did the Virgin in the Comunale Palace of Siena. He also worked in the chapel of Saint Martin in Assisi. Martin Assisi. I think it is Assisi. In Assisi. Wait. I suppose Assisi. Simone Martini. Yes, it is this one. Assisi, no Assasi. Masterpieces are the altarpiece of Annunciation and the diptychs of Annunciation. It is interesting, the allegory of Virgil. And then the last one, Giotto di Bondone. He began the Renaissance painting. He studied with Cimabue and then in Rome. His artwork, except sometimes, are frescoes in Assisi, Padua, and Florence. The Chapel of Scrovegni has scenes of the lives of Jesus. In the Chapel of the Palace of del Podestà of Florence, there is a portrait of Dante Alighieri. In his Adoration of the Kings, you can see the Halley Comet. In San Francesco of Assisi, the frescoes talk about the life of the saint. And I think I'm going to add more pictures of him here because I only added this one. I'm going to add one more. I saw pictures now. So here you see Santa Maria in Trastevere, Annunciation again, Cimabue, Duccio, Annunciation, Simone Martini, and this the chapel, the Scrovegni Chapel. Okay, and here Dante Alighieri. One moment. Painting, Italy, 100. I want to put Dante. This is the Adoration of the Kings. Here you can see the Halley Comet. Here. I'm going to put this one also. And maybe I can put one more. Frescoes in San Francisco Assisi. I put this one. I like this architecture. Moment. Spanish painting. Franco-Gothic styles, it begins in the mid-13th century till the end of the 14th century. Cantigas. In Catalonia, the altarpieces have Romanesque characteristics. In Aragon, changed to Gothic. Altarpiece of Santo Domingo. In Navarra is the altarpiece of Don Pedro López de Ayala. About murals, paintings, there are religious paintings like the Abscess of Daroca or the Chapel of Oil in the Old Cathedral of Salamanca by Antón Sánchez. Profane paintings are, for example, the ones in the Sala de los Reyes in Alhambra of Granada by a Christian artist, probably from Seville. The altarpiece of Don Pedro López de Ayala. And here, the Room of the Kings in Alhambra of Granada. Italo-Gothic style. It appears because imports of artworks and later because Italian artists come to Spain to work. Altarpiece of Santa Clara by an unknown Italian painter of Ducento. In Trecento, the Italian artists come to Spain like Gerardo Starnina, who does the altarpiece of Fray Bonifacio Ferrer. The altarpiece of the Virgin of Milk in Murcia is imported, and it is by Bernabé of Modena. Altarpiece of Santa Clara and Virgin of Milk in Murcia. I have seen this in person, obviously. In Aragon and Catalonia arise an important group of Trecentist painters. Ferrer Bassa does the frescoes of the Chapel of San Miguel in the monastery of Pedralbes. Maestro Stronipan does the altarpiece of San Vicente. Altarpiece of San Vicente. The most important artists are Jaume Sierra and Pedro Serra. Jaume does the altarpiece of Fray Martín de Alpartir, the Virgen de Tobet, and the Resurrection of Christ, among others. Pedro does the altarpiece of Venida del Espíritu Santo and the altarpiece of all the saints in the monastery of Sant Cugat. In Castilla is the Florentine school, standing out the paintings in the walls of the Chapel of San Blas in the Cathedral of Toledo. Jaume Serra and Pedro Serra. International Gothic style. It appears in Spain in 15th century. In Catalonia, it is Luis Borrasá with the San Andrés negándose a adorar a un ídolo. Is San Andrés negating to adore an idol. In Valencia is Berenguer Mateo, who does the altarpiece of San Jorge. Pedro Nicolau does the altarpiece of the Joyes of the Virgin, of the Joys of the Virgin. I think it should be Joys of the Virgin. In Aragon is Lorenzo Zaragoza, who does the Virgin of Milk. Pedro Zuera does the altarpiece of Huesca. Joys of the Virgin, altarpiece of San Jorge. In Castilla work two very important artists. Dello Delli, Italian, is the author of the altarpiece of the Old Cathedral of Salamanca. Nicolas Frances is the author of the old altarpiece of the Cathedral of León. Altarpiece of the Old Cathedral of Salamanca. Altarpiece of the Cathedral of León. Hispanic Flemish Gothic style. It appears in the second half of the 15th century. In Catalunya is Luis Dalmau, who does the Virgin de los Concelleres. Jaime Huguet does the altarpiece of the Saint Apton and Senén and the altarpiece of the Condestable. The Vergós brothers, Jaime II, Rafael and Pablo, do the great fragmented altarpiece of San Esteban Protomartyr. Okay. I hope I don't have to edit all these names now because it's going to take very long. But I suspect yes. In Valencia works Jacomart with his altarpiece of Santa Ana de Játiva. In Aragon works Bartolomé Bermejo, one of the best painters. He does San Miguel de Tus, the altarpiece of Santo Domingo de Silos, and the Piedad del Canónigo de Esplá. Yes, one I have seen this in person and it's very impressive, very realistic. Santa Ana de Játiva of Jacomart. I'm going to need to move all this. I have that feeling. In Castilla, there are court painters. Juan de Flandes does the altarpiece of the Cathedral of Palencia, the polyptychs of Isabel la Católica, and also portraits, like the one of Isabel la Católica. Francisco Chacón does the Virgin de las Angustias. And this one, the altarpiece of Palencia. In León works Fernando Gallego, who does the altarpiece of San Ildefonso in the Cathedral of Zamora, the Celestial Bar in the University of Salamanca, the Piety, the Triptych of the Virgen de la Rosa, Cristo bendiciendo, Eva, etc. In Toledo, it is the master of the altarpiece of the Chapel of Don Álvaro de Luna. So terrible, these names. In Andalucía, in Sevilla, works a group that is not very good in quality. Juan Núñez does the Piety, Pedro Sánchez de Santo Entierro, and Pedro de Córdoba does the Annunciation in the Cathedral of Córdoba. Finally, the first stage of the art of Pedro Berruguete is Hispanic Flemish with Italian influence. He does the Virgin of Milk and the Annunciation of Cartuja de Miraflores. Santo Entierro by Pedro Sánchez and Virgin of Milk by Pedro Berruguete. And before doing this, I'm going to change Joys of the Virgin and then Giotto. Whoa, this is so bad. Giotto, there are 4 in total. Oh, it's saving just in time. I wanted to save manually. I'm going to need to wait to what time. Okay. Spanish painting. Wait a moment for this. It's not the same that it auto saves than save manually, so just a moment. Okay. Spain. Here you will see just many examples. Okay, on Flemish painting, the last chapter. The Flemish painting is very important. They began to use oil, beginning with the Van Eyck brothers. Great detail, the religious scenes make it possible to also represent hand-read scenes. Okay. First half of the 15th century, the Van Eyck brothers. They are Jan and Hubert. Both do the polyptych of Saint Bavo of Ghent. Hubert van Eyck, we have little about him. He did the 3 Marys in the Sepulchre, the Calvary, and the Adoration of the Mystic Lamb. This in the polyptych. And then Jan van Eyck, we have more artworks of him. He did the Virgin of the Canon Bar der Pelle, the Virgin of Chancellor Rollin, Fountain of Life, and portrait of Giovanni Arnolfini and his wife. This is the polyptych on Saint Bavo of Ghent. And this Virgin, Chancellor Rollin, and the Arnolfini portrait. I have seen the Arnolfini portrait in person. It is in the British Museum. Roger van der Weyden, Path themes, his artworks are copied in the rest of the century. He does the Position, Crucifixion, Adoration of the Magi, the Altar of Our Lady, Miraflores, Saint Luca painting the Virgin, Calvary, and Duran Marona. Robert Campin, also called Master Fremale, he does the triptych of the Annunciation. He also has portraits like Man with Turban. Here, Roger van der Weyden, and here, Robert Campin. Petrus Christus, disciple of Jan of Jan van Eyck, he mixes that influence with the influence of van der Weyden. He does the diptychs of Berlin, Virgin with a Child, Madonna del Arbero Secco, Saint Eloi, and some portraits like Portrait of a Woman and Head of Christ. Dietrich Boats, he completed his artistic education with van der Weyden. He marries in Leuven and stays there till his death. He is a nexus between the Haarlem School and Brussels School. Haarlem is also written like this, I think. Haarlem. Oh, it's Haarlem. Okay. Landscape, he does the Polyptych of Leuven, the Triptych of the Life of the Virgin, Justice of the Emperor Otto, and Last Dinner. Want to check something? Polyptych of Leuven, Dietrich Boats. Second half of the 15th century, Hans Memling, he studied in the workshop of van der Weyden. He had great popularity in 19th century. He does the tables of the art of Lübeck, the triptych of the Adoration of the Magi, Virgin with Child, Martyrdom of Saint Sebastian, and Piety. And I think it's getting dark and maybe you don't see me very well, although it's not that important. Well, I have the air conditioner, so I can open the window now. Tables of the art of Lübeck, Hans Memling. And these more artworks of Hans Memling. Hugo van der Goes, he influences the Florentine artist. Influences the Florentine artist, more expressive dynamism. He does the Portinari triptychs, the Adoration of the Magi, and the Death of the Virgin. Justus van Gent, used to the Gun, he does the Communion of the Apostles. Calvary triptychs. Hugo van der Goes, and this the Calvary triptychs. Gerard David, the last great painting of the Flemish school of the 15th century. Sense of verticality in his virgins with inexpressive heads. He does the triptychs of baptisms of Christ, the judgment of Cambyses, the transfiguration of Christ, the resting, the flight to Egypt, and the mystic betrothal. Gerten taught since Hans, he does it with nativity, very dark, and John the Baptist in the desert. The baptisms of Christ. And the last one, Hieronymus van Eyck-Bos. He created original compositions, strange and fantastic ones, always with moralizing intention. His masterpiece is the Garden of Earthly Delights. Others are Temptation of St. Anthony Abad and Christ with the Cross. Garden of Earthly Delights, great symbolic content with many interpretations. I saw it first. This is. I have also seen this in person. I think it's in the Prado Museum in Madrid. Left panel is the earthly paradise, where you see Adam and Eve with God. All seems pacific, but you can see animals being devoured. The ponds and rocks are lairs for the devil. The central panel is the Delights Garden, a false paradise where humanity is. With sins, especially lust, you can see all kind of sexual relations, heterosexual, homosexual, masturbation, and even between animals and plants. The ponds are dirty. They are the waters where the sins take bath. The right panel is hell. There appear musical instruments, and it's not known why. In the upper part is the typical version of hell, with fire and tortures. In center appears fantastic creatures appear, and below appear players appear being tortured by demons. Oh, here it is. And I just finished. Miniatures are hard to get artwork because it was expensive and was uncharted. However, later the pieces are sold or changes, and so. Psalter of Ingeborg, the scenes are in a plain background without perspective, great expressiveness, Byzantine influence. Psalter of Blanche of Castile, sometimes scenes are included in geometric structures. Psalter of St. Louis, it is a gift of the King of France to the Spanish King Alfonso X the Wise. Rich scenes talking about iconographic in medallions that are same as windows of cathedrals. So here are just examples. And the canticles again. Canticles of Polymari. It is a musical manuscript with many illustrations of musics and miracles of the Virgin. And it's finished. Okay, I saw the pictures here. Politio Sambavon, this one is kind of important. I think now I can show close-ups here. Here you see the sacred lamb, the adoration of the mystic lamb. Saint, crucifixion, adoration of the Magi. Annunciation again. From portraits, Political Louvain, Triptych of the Life of the Virgin, The Last Supper. Baptisms of Christ. Garden of Earthly Delights. Here is one. The Garden of Eden. Here is where the animals appear being devorated. Like here, there is a cat eating a rat. I don't know if you can see very clearly. Here, the people doing sex. And here is the hell, and here the musical instruments. These faces are so bizarre. The miniatures. Okay, before finishing, I want to show the Garden of Early Delights. I want to show this like more close-ups. Yes, this is in Museo del Prado in Madrid. Like I want to see more close-up. Can I see this in full screen or? And if I want, I use. Okay, I see. What? So here you see. Actually, this picture is much better. I'm going to use this in the video. Like the color is very good. Here you see the animals are the boring other animals in this kind of ponds. And then this, the ponds for cleaning the scenes. Here are some weird fish people. This is a strawberry. here the people having sex and being naked with animals. Cats here, so weird. And this one has the head of a priest. And this. Well, it's not very explicit. It's a lot of people being naked and doing things, but it's not very explicit. In the sense that they are not doing the sex. And then the last one is hell with these kind of weird things and musical instruments. Here are some cards. Okay, so as I was saying, I'm going to use this in the PowerPoint. I mean, I'm not going to earn money with this, so I don't really need commercial rights. This is just for education. Okay. So I have finished, but before finishing stream, I have to talk about the Arthurian mythology. So the best book to know the Arthurians, the story of King Arthur is Morte d'Arthur by Sir Thomas Malory. This book is amazing. And I read the English version and it was very nice to read. Hard, but it was really, really nice. The story that you know that he's taking the sword from the rock and then he becomes the king. This is just the first part, and it's at the very beginning. Most of the book is adventures of the knights. So I just tell the story. So the death of Arthur by Sir Thomas Malory is the story of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table from the beginning of Arthur until his death. So it's divided. I divided it in 4 parts. The first part is the story of King Arthur. There is a rivalry between Uther Pendragon with the Duke of Tintagel, and Uther Pendragon is the father of Arthur. So there is a rivalry between these 2 characters in Cornwall. Uther asks help to Merlin. Merlin is this wizard. So he can have sex with the Duchess that is called Igraine. She is the wife of the Duke of Tintagel. So this happens, and then Igraine has a son and is King Arthur. But Uther made with Merlin an agreement that is like when the son is born, he will give it to Merlin, so Merlin will educate it. And then Merlin gives the son to Sir Ector, so it's Sir Ector who educates him, being Sir Kay his stepbrother. So it's like Merlin gives Merlin gives Arthur to Sir Ector, and Sir Ector has a son that is called Sir Kay. So it's like the stepbrother. So what happened with the Duke of Tintagel and Uther and such? So the Duke of Tintagel died in battle. So he did never know that Uther had sex with his wife. And then Uther and Igraine marry. But Uther dies. I don't remember if before Arthur is born or shortly later. But yes, he dies. It is not known that Arthur is the son of the king. So when Uther dies, there is a void of power, like nobody is the king, and then it appears the sword in the stone in a church. So when Uther dies, there is as I was explaining, that appears the sword in the stone in a church. It happens that there is going to be some combat, some host. I don't know if it's called like that. Some night combats. Sir Kai is going to participate, but but Arthur has to carry his sword, but he forgets the sword, so he goes to get a random sword, and he gets the sword in the stone. And then they are very surprised, they don't believe him, and it happens these things, and at the end they realize that Arthur is the king of England. So Arthur gets the sword and he is crowned the king. And some stories happen, like Merlin is um, closed alive by Nimue, a lady of the lake, because Merlin has like some sex drive with for Nimue, but Nimue didn't want, so Merlin is imprisoned in a rock cave or something like that. Yes, that is the kind of sad end of Merlin the Wizard. And then another important character is Morgana Le Fay, is a rival of Arthur. She is always planning the death of Arthur. Arthur takes Guinevere as wife, and Camelot is founded with the Knights of the Round Table. Arthur received Excalibur from the Lady of the Lake. Yes, because the sword of the rock is called Excalibur, but also maybe it's not that Excalibur. So he has a fight with a knight, and then the sword of the rock breaks, so he needs a new sword. So then it is the Lady of the Lake who gives him a sword, and that one is called Excalibur, and it's like the powerful sword. And here there are it is the appearance of important knights like Sir Gawain, Sir Lancelot, and Sir Tristram. The second part is about wars and adventure. Arthur is a military leader that defeats the Romans. Sir Lancelot is the best knight. Then the story of Sir Gareth remains, Tristan and Isolde, an adventure of Sir Tristan, Sir Palomides, and Breunor Lenoire. And there are some tournaments, and Sir Lancelot has a kid with Elaine called Sir Galahad. There are many events. It's honestly a little bit boring. I mean, the book overall is wonderful, but it focuses a lot and really a lot in the stories of the night. Like, really, King Arthur doesn't have that much protagonism. He has a lot of protagonism in the first part, but then in the second part and the third part, he doesn't really do anything. It's mostly the adventures and stories of the knights. I continue. The third part is the story of the Sangreal, the Holy Grail, the search of the Holy Grail. So Sir Galahad, the son of Sir Lancelot, sits in the dangerous seat, in the perilous seat. So it's like in the round table. Let's see if I can find something. Round table. No, this Camelot. Here. So in this table, there is a seat that is not occupied. This is the perilous seat. And it means that the one who can sit in this seat and not die, because if you are not the chosen and you sit, then you die. So if you sit and you don't die, that means you are the chosen one to find the Sangreal, the Holy Grail. So Sir Galahad sits in the perilous seat of the round table. He doesn't die, and that means he's the chosen one. Many knights go, like King Arthur says that they should go for the Holy Grail and not return until they find it. So many knights go, but at the end, only Sir Perceval, Sir Bors, and Sir Galahad arrive to a ship, and the ship takes them to the castle of Carbonek, where is the Grail. Sir Lancelot tries to go near the Grail, but he can't. He is like stunned and put outside. Nothing. The three knights said before, that are Sir Perceval, Sir Bors, and Sir Galahad, drink from the Grail. They return to the ship, and then Galahad dies, and he's like dies both in a divine way, like he just want to die to be with God. So he dies and goes to heaven. Percival became a word I don't know how to say in English. A hermit, He became a Hermit and later he dies. And Sir Bors returns to Camelot to tell the tale. And so it is how it ends the story of this Holy Grail. And then the fourth part is the death of Arthur. Let's remind something. There is King Arthur has a bastard kid with Morgause. Morgause is, I think, if I remember well, is the sister of Morgana Le Fay, and also it's, I don't know, remember if it's step sister or cousin of Arthur, but it's related to family. So they have an incestuous bastard kid, Arthur and Morgause, and this kid is Mordred, and Mordred is who is going to cause the fall of King Arthur. So, in the death of King Arthur, Sir Lancelot and Guinevere is the wife of Arthur, the queen. They have a love story, and they are caught by Sir Agravain and Sir Mordred. So they tell this to Arthur, and then there is conflict. Sir Lancelot kills a lot of knights, and Arthur declares war. Sir Lancelot goes to France. Arthur follows him and puts Mordred as a regent king. Mordred will rule England while Arthur is in France searching for Lancelot and doing war with Lancelot. Then Mordred wanted to be the king, so he spread some lies saying that Arthur has died, so I'm the king and I'm going to create my own laws and such. Arthur knows about this and he has to return. Sir Gawain's died and some stuff happened. By the way, Sir Gawain is very disappointed with Sir Lancelot because Sir Lancelot killed very close friend or family related with Sir Gawain. So it's like Sir Gawain loved Sir Lancelot until he killed his best friend of his brother. I don't remember well the character. But well, never mind. Arthur and Mordred fight together and they kill each other, both die. Guinevere became a monk, a nun, and time later she dies, and Lancelot became an hermit and will also die. So that is the story of the King Arthur, his birth, his adventures, the Holy Grail, and his death and the fall of Camelot. The Death of Arthur by Sir Thomas Malory is not the only book that tells the story of Arthur. There is also the Lancelot Graal or the Vulgate. It's an extended version, but I still think that the Death of Arthur by Sir Thomas Malory is better because it's like a compilation of all the versions of Arthur, and also the greeting quality and greeting style, in my opinion, is better. So you can just choose. The Book of Merlin of the Vulgate tells about this character as a baby that is very powerful and can do prophecies. That is very funny. The Merlin book was my favorite about this Vulgate. And then there is two others like Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. This one is a kind of funny story. Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Let's see if I can find some pictures or whatever. This one is okay. I just read. A Green Knight presents himself and offers a trial. A knight must give him a hit, and the next year he will return that hit. So Sir Gawain offers himself to this, and he cuts his head with a hit. But then the Green Knight takes his head from the floor and go away. And before going away, he says, "Okay, you give me the hit. Next year, I give you the hit." Yes, this is weird. So at the year, because the oaths of the knights are sacred, they must fulfill the oaths. So the next year, Sir Gawain must go to the Green Knight to receive the same hit. He does some trick, and at the end, it is revealed that it was like a magic trial, and Sir Gawain is like the best knight. It's a short story and very funny. I really recommend reading it. And then the last one is Tristan and Isolde. Very famous characters, I think. Tristan and Isolde. Tristan goes to Ireland to ask the hand of the Princess Isolde for his uncle, the King Mark of Cornwall. At the return, both take a love potion by mistake prepared for the king, and they fall in love deeply. After some adventures, Isolde marries with Mark and Tristram with another Isolde that is called Isolde of the White Hands. Tristan is hurt, and only the beautiful Isolde of the boy Isolde can heal him. But Isolde of the White Hands is jealous, and he says him that the beautiful Isolde won't come, even if it's a lie. So Tristram dies in the arms of Isolde, and then she dies with him. So that's the sad story of Tristram and Isolde. And finally, just to show some animation, the Merlin by Disney, it's a classic. It tells the story of the education of Arthur and the stone in the sword. It's only, as I said, it's the first part, very short of the book. It's like I can say now, it's maybe the 5 or 10% of the Sir Thomas Malory book, but anyway. I just saw the trailer of this, and that's all. And also, I must say that Merlin is not really that important character. I think Merlin is more like a folk character. Like, the people has given him more protagonist than what he really has. So.
El legendario clásico de Disney, Merlín el Encantador. La inmortal historia del rey Arturo.
¡Una espada!
Y su mago Merlín.
Serás todo un personaje de leyenda.
Quien le enseña los misterios del mar, del cielo y del bosque. Vive la maravillosa aventura en la que Arturo se enfrenta al diablo.
¿Qué te proponías hacer?
Dijo que iba a destruirme.
Y descubre su destino. El clásico de Disney, Merlín el Encantador.
I think it's worth to put at least the part of the sword. Merlin, Disney, stone in sword in stone. Let's see if I can find that scene. I think this.
For the crown of all England,
Okay,
let
yeah.
the tournament begin!
Okay. Now
So
it's
that
up to
is.
the swords.
Let me pause.
Swords?
That's Arthur.
Swords? Oh no! Kay?
That is Sir Kay.
What?
Well, in the book, here in this movie, is like Sir Kay doesn't like Arthur very much, but in the books, they are very close friends. And in fact, when Arthur is a king, he names Sir Kay as, I don't remember exactly the title, but a high quality title. I don't know how to say, high nobility title, like very important title.
What?
I forgot your sword.
Forgot my sword?
I left it back at the inn.
Why, you bungling little fool. You better get it, or don't you dare come back.
Let me in! Let me in! Somebody, please, let me in!
It's no use, boy. They've all gone to the tournament.
Oh, what'll I do? Kay's got to have a sword.
Well, look, boy, look. There in the churchyard.
A sword! Oh, Archimedes, a
Here
sword!
how he's finding the sword, and now how he's going to take it.
You're going to have a time pulling it out. Watch it, boy. Better leave it alone.
But Kay's got to have a sword.
Now, come on, quick. Let's get out of here.
That is
You're
the
up next,
Hector.
son.
So that the man with the mustache is Hector, and the other is Sir Kai.
Better get ready.
Kay, here's a sword.
This is not my sword. Hold on, Kay. Wait a minute. Whoso pulleth out this sword? Oh, it's the sword in the stone.
The sword in the stone? It can't be.
But look, it is.
It's the marvelous sword. Hold everything! Someone's pulled the sword from the stone!
Where did you get it?
Just a little pause. I just hope I don't have copyright problems because this in YouTube is always very annoying. So pausing a bit. I'm just thinking in when I have to appeal this in YouTube. Anyway, I want to continue to show the end of this.
It what?
I pulled it out of an...
Just for YouTube to see this. I'm showing this because the story of King Arthur. So don't annoy me, please, YouTube.
anvil that was on a stone in a churchyard.
The lad's a young Samson! You're making a fool of us, boy. Now tell the truth.
But I did, sir.
Then come on, prove it. Back to the stone with you.
Yes, prove it! Come on, prove it!
All right, boy. Let's have the miracle. Now, wait a minute. Anyone can pull it once it's been pulled. You go to it, Kay. Give it all you got. Put your hand into it.
Push him outside!
One side.
Hold on, that's not fair.
I say we let the boy try it.
That's what I say. Give the boy a chance.
Go ahead, son.
It's a miracle, ordained by heaven.
This boy is our king.
Well, by Jove.
What's the lad's name?
What? Oh, I mean Arthur.
Hail, King Arthur!
Hail, King Arthur! Long live the king!
I can't believe it.
Oh, forgive me, son. Forgive me.
Oh, please don't, sir.
Kay, bow down to your king. So at last the miracle had come to pass in that far-off time upon New Year's Day, and the glorious reign of King Arthur was begun.
Okay, that's all. So, going to finish now the stream. I hope you enjoyed and you learned. Next time, well, Middle Ages are finished. Next one will be Renaissance. So, until then, see you next time and have a good time.